Thomas and the Snow Block. Written by Christopher Awdry, read and adapted for audio by TARDIS9. It was winter. Heavy, dark clouds filled the sky. That night, snow fell and deep drifts piled up in the surrounding countryside. Next morning, Bertie the bus set out early from his garage to collect passengers for Thomas's early morning train. Thomas had hardly got Annie and Clarabel ready before they saw Bertie drive into the station yard. No passengers got out. "We can't get over the hill," Bertie said. "People said it's not so bad on the other side of the hill, but up on top there are drifts higher than my roof. We were lucky to be able to turn around. You'll need to go steady at the tunnel, Thomas. I expect the snow is deep there too." Just then a taxi drove into the station yard and came to a stop beside Bertie. An important-looking man got out and the station master came to meet him. They went off together towards the office. Then Percy, who had been trying to take some trucks to the harbour, came back pushing them. "The snow is deep near the tunnel," he warned them. "The cutting is nearly full of it. I couldn't get through even with my snowplough." "Never mind, Thomas," said his driver. "You are heavier than Percy, so perhaps we can force our way through." They set off. But when they reached the cutting, they found that the snow was so thick that it bent the snowplough, which began to damage the rails. "That's torn it," said Thomas's driver. "We'll never get through now." They took the snowplough off, left it beside the line, and went back to the station. Thomas took Annie and Clarabel to their shed, and had just got back to the platform when the station master came up with the important-looking man. "This gentleman has to see Mr Kyndley," he said. "It is a very important matter, and he must see him today at all costs." Thomas's driver scratched his head. "Well, I'm blowed if I know how," he said. "The road is impassable, and we can't get through a cutting blocked with snow." "A bulldozer would be handy," remarked the fireman. "What about Terence?" suggested Thomas. "Hasn't he got one of those pusher things that fits in front?" "Well done, Thomas!" exclaimed his driver, and the station master ran back to his office to telephone. Meanwhile, Toby had brought Henrietta to the platform, and workmen were loading their tools into her. By the time Toby had taken them as far as he could go into the cutting, Terence was already at work. They were hard at it all morning, but by lunchtime they had the line clear. Toby brought the man back to Ffarquhar and told everyone at the station the good news. Then, with the very important visitor in Henrietta, and with Thomas coupled to the front and Toby at the back, a special train set off. Deep walls of snow stood like cliffs on either side of the lines that Terence and the railway workers had cleared, and the two engines puffed triumphantly between them. Through the tunnel they went. Bertie had been quite right, for when they came out into daylight at the other end, they found that the snow lay much less thickly on this side of the hill. The station master had telephoned to warn Mr Kyndley that a special train was on its way, and he was waiting for them at the end of his garden. Thomas and Toby whistled cheerfully to him as they stopped outside the cottage just beyond the end of the tunnel. The guard and the fireman cleared snow from the side of the cutting, and when all was safe, the guard helped the very important visitor down from Henrietta. Both Mr Kyndley and his visitor came to thank the engines. The guard walked to the house with them to make sure they did not slip on the path, and then Thomas and Toby, cold but happy, left for the junction. When the Fat Controller heard about the adventure, he was pleased too. He made a special journey to Ffarquhar to see the engines. "I've said it before and I'll say it again," he told them. "There can be no doubt that Thomas, Toby and Percy are all really useful engines." "And Terence and Bertie too?" asked Percy. "Terence and Bertie too," agreed the Fat Controller. that was Thomas and the Snowblock. It was written by Christopher Awdry and read and adapted for audio by TARDIS9. Okay, well, thank you very much for listening, everyone. I think there's just, in this story, there's just so much beauty in these annual stories that, well, frankly, so much of the writing from the TV series could seriously take a leaf out of it. But that aside, well, it's kind of nice to see that Thomas being stuck in the snow, and, well, that's not the only type of trouble snow can cause on the island, as I'm sure you can see. Anyhow. Dry rails and good running, everyone. And Merry Christmas. This may well be the shortest speech I had to say for these vids, at least for a while, as I can't really think of much to say at the moment, so pardon me for that. Anyhow, dry rails and good running, and Happy Christmas, everyone.